Meanwhile, Rudy Giuliani has fired back at your criticism that he talks too much about New York City. Let's take a look at that.
Well, Fred has no record to talk about, so I have a good record to talk about. And if he had no record at all, you'd want to attack somebody else's record, which is what I think some of my opponents are doing.
Giuliani says you attack people with a record because you don't have one.
I think Rudy was kind of squealing before he got stuck there. Somebody asked me a question about gun control, and I said Rudy was mayor of New York and apparently felt like gun control was a great idea. Back then, he says it was because he was representing New York, but I don't think New York City has necessarily the same values as the rest of America. And that's in reaction to that. My experience has had to do with matters on the federal level, national level. I was on the Intelligence Committee. I chaired a committee dealing with nuclear proliferation. I was a Republican floor leader for the Homeland Security Bill. I stopped an export legislation bill that I thought was too generous to China with regard to dangerous dual-use items. You know, I could go on and on and on. I've dealt with those issues for almost a decade, both in and out of government. And, of course, Rudy has not, 5 minutes of experience with regard to things of those natures. So, we all have our assets. We all have things that we can brag on. But when you say experience, the question is experience doing what?
I want to talk, we have a couple of minutes left, about your situation in the polls, because there is a buzz out there, and you know it, that your campaign has been disappointing. And we have a poll that shows that you've actually dropped 10 points in the latest Fox News national poll since you came in September. But it's not just the numbers.
Well, you know how...
May I just finish my question, and you can say what you want. It's not just the numbers. I want to show you what two conservative commentators had to say about your campaign this week. Here it is.
It's the wrong message and a weak messenger. Other than those two things, it's a great campaign.
Thompson offers the folksy manner of a consistent conservative, but there's not anything there. And in the absence of something, you can't win.
Senator, I suspect you've gotten a few bad reviews for movies or TV shows in the past, but that's pretty tough stuff. How do you respond?
Yeah, it's a lot of the same kind of stuff that I heard when I first ran for office, when I was 20 points down, and fortunately I wound up 20 points ahead on election night. This has been a constant mantra of Fox, to tell you the truth. And I saw the promo for this bill, and I think it was kind of for this show, and it was kind of featuring the New Hampshire poll. Let's put things in context a little bit to start with.
I don't know that Fox has been going after you, and I certainly don't think Charles Krauthammer and Fred Barnes...
From day one, they said I got in too late. I couldn't do it.
There were a lot of people besides Fox who said that.
But I'm up to, these are the two you used.
Right.
All right. Well, they said I got in too late, couldn't do it, that wouldn't raise enough money, and that sort of thing. And that's their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. But that doesn't seem to be shared by the cross-section of American people. If you look at the national polls, you'll see that I'm running second, have been running second for a long time. I'm running ahead of a guy who's spent probably $50 million more than I have and been running for a year longer. If you look in South Carolina, I've either been leading or tied for the lead for a long time. I moved from fourth to third in Iowa, ahead of Rudy Giuliani, incidentally. So, they're entitled to their opinion, but for you to highlight nothing but the negative in terms of these polls, and then put on your own guys who've been predicting for 4 months, really, that I couldn't do it, kind of skews things a little bit. There's a lot of other opinion out there. National Review that
you know anybody who thinks you've run a great campaign?
It's not for me to come here and try to convince you that somebody else thinks that I've run a great campaign.
Well, that's why I'm
talking about,
I'm just asking you the question.
You mentioned conservatives. Would you say National Review was a conservative magazine and a conservative?
As are Fred Barnes and Charles Krauthammer.
They said, well, that just goes to show you there's more than one opinion.
Absolutely.
You're showing one, I'm giving you the other.
Well, I'm asking you for the other.
Well, I'll give you an answer. They said that I had set the standard for policy in this campaign. They pointed out that I had laid out all these policy positions as far as immigration was concerned, as far as the military was concerned, the only policy position in Social Security, and others, and said they wish the other candidates would do half as well as I have. Investors Business Daily has pointed out that I have the solution on the Social Security plan that no one else has put forth. It will solve a major financial problem that we're going to have in this country. And as I go around the country, I get that kind of reaction. Now, other than opinion, which everybody's got one, The only thing I know to look at is the poll. And if you get past New Hampshire and look at some of these other states, and states that I'm leading in the South, for example, and straw polls that I've won, endorsements that I've got more endorsements in the state of Georgia than all the other candidates put together. So I understand the game of build-up, and I understand the game of takedown, and we all go through it. And I'm perfectly willing for you to do that with regard to me, as you do the other candidates.
I was going to say,
but you have the right to put in your one side and put in the Fox side, and I have the right to respond to it. And thankfully, you've given me that opportunity.
I was going to say, Senator, I'm glad I asked the question because I got a heck of an answer. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for talking with us.
Appreciate it.
Please come back, sir.
Thank you.